and thank you all for joining us tonight. Tonight's presentation, Resisting the Relentless Lure of More, a Pandemic Realization. In our overscheduled, overconnected, overachieving world, we've bought the lie they've sold to us that we can do it all. They've convinced us that we need to have and to be more. During these past 5 months of pandemic and quarantine and fear and uncertainty, many of us have used this time to reflect on just how simply, comfortably, and intentionally we can live with less. A quote from Becoming Minimalist sums it up perfectly. Quote, "I think that when the dust settles, we will realize how little we need, how very much we actually have, and the true value of human connection." So in this interactive workshop with professional organizer Eileen Reed, you will consider the impacts of more in every part of your life, explore our belief systems around what's enough, learn proven strategies you can use to simplify your life. If we could just create space in our surroundings, in our schedules, in our perceptions, we would invite more of everything good into our lives. So are you ready to break free and welcome a life of simplicity and ease? Sign me up. So Eileen Reed is the owner and COO, that is Chief Organizing Officer, of Simplify with Eileen Organizing. With a 25-year career in office management, sales training, and high-tech staffing, Eileen's organizing skills have been honed by developing effective systems and repeatable processes to maximize time, function, and efficiency. So all 40 of us watching live and the hundreds that are going to be watching on demand, let's give a big virtual round of applause to Eileen for joining us here tonight. And Eileen, you can take it away. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Wow, Robert, that was awesome. I so appreciate your inviting me back. I was at the Tewksbury Library maybe about like a year and a half, 2 years ago, presenting live. And I love your community, and I'm just thrilled to be back. I'm an organizing and productivity coach, and I started my company just a little over 10 years ago. And the core of what I do is working with small business owners and individuals to really just kind of inspire, guide, and coach them how to simplify, organize, and thrive. And like designing a simplified life, it doesn't mean just, austerity and minimalism. It doesn't mean throwing out everything you own and just having like a gray couch, a white table, and a pencil. It really is about choosing the things that matter to you, the things that serve you, your space, your life today. And I don't mean yesterday, and I don't mean tomorrow, like I really mean today. It's not about a life of most. It's not about a life of least. It's really about a life that's just right for you. I will admit though, I didn't always believe this. I'll start in 2010, and the 20 years prior to that, I was firmly marching down the path of more. I was like the more poster girl. I was all about more. And I was focused constantly on trying to do more, have more, be more. I really was buying into all that. At that time, I was a salesperson, very successful, for a software and IT consulting company. And it was hard. Any of you in sales, throw your hands up if you know what I mean in terms of you're only as good as your last month. And you could be, the top salesperson last month, and then this month, let's say September 1, everybody's back to the bottom and just clawing, just chasing their quotas and trying to get back to success. And then again, it resets the following month. Like it was really hard. But I stayed with it for 20 years because I made cuckoo money. Literally, I made 6 figures year over year over year. And there were trips and prizes and awards. So it was good. And for a moreaholic kind of like me, it was a good environment. It fed me. The thing is, there was kind of this like built-in insatiability in the expectations that our management had of me and my sales colleagues. And let me see if we can go here. Yeah. So there was always, they were always, you know, urging us to do more and to like make more sales calls, bring in more clients, work longer, work harder, place more consultants, do more meetups, just do more. Insatiable. We could never quite meet the expectations, and then have more. We were always told we need to have more client meetings, have the right professional wardrobe to, you know, convey the right image, have the latest and greatest technology, have more relationships with partners and recruiters. Just keep having more. And then be more. They were always wanting us to be more competitive, more aggressive, more focused on profit, more focused on climbing the ladder and getting promoted, more committed. Like it was always more, be more. And as a result, I was working more and buying more and spending more and eating more and clamoring for more. Like it was this really crazy dysfunctional cycle. What I finally realized was that by piling on more and more, like all this crap that honestly didn't matter, there was this huge cost. And the cost was I was so stressed. I was overwhelmed. I was exhausted. I was unhappy, unfulfilled, unhealthy, uncertain. I actually developed TMJ because I would grind my teeth at night so bad that I got TMJ and I had to wear an appliance. I had killer migraines. I became really sedentary because I was so busy working and I put on a lot of weight. I had lousy sleep. Do any of you ever have this where you go to bed, you put your head on the pillow and your brain just will not shut up? And you're working, like sometimes I would wake up in the morning, I'd be like, holy mother, like I just worked all night in my dreams. My blood pressure was through the roof. I had racing heartbeats. I was so run down, I got pneumonia. I was drifting away from friends and friendships just because I was so busy. This lure of more, I will tell you from my firsthand experience, it's a totally artificial and unsustainable quest. And then in 2010, I had one of those aha or defining moments. My dad got sick very suddenly. And he passed away in just a few short, very difficult months. And in that moment, it just became super clear to me that this life of more that I was just chasing, this rewind, repeat kind of hamster wheel life that I was on, the life with all these high costs, this was not the life I was intended to live. This isn't what life was supposed to be about. There was more for me, and it was a very different kind of more. I also didn't like the person I became, where my priorities were all skewed. When my dad was, you know, fighting for his life in the hospital, I was still trying to work and answer emails and meet with clients and trying to do it all and be it all. And, you know, it turned out that I wasn't making my family a priority. So that was a big aha for me. And it caused me to decide to walk away from my six-figure career at the high of my high. I was carrying the insurance for my family. And I just chose to let go of that life of more. And when I finally made that decision and chose to resist that relentless lure of more, so that's why we've got the title, and instead to choose and embrace a life of more simplicity and ease, living a life intentionally with less, what I found was I gained so much more of what really matters. More joy, more health, more time, more connection, more abundance, more presence, success, like more of everything good. The thing is, we live in a world where most people's lives are shaped by this sort of insatiable desire for more. And we're taught to seek fulfillment outside of ourselves, externally, instead of inside. So we end up not ever being truly happy or satisfied. We are desperate to be more beautiful, more skinny, more successful, more loved, to get more friends, to make more money, get more stuff, have more cars. Like, we're always measuring our happiness relative to surroundings, our situation, our possessions, our achievements. And we're conditioned by this culture to believe that happiness is found through consumption, and that a person's success is determined by whatever they're able to achieve and acquire. The more you have, the happier you'll be, or so they tell us. And during this moment we're in with this COVID pandemic, that's moment, which is now 5 months, we're spending more time than ever inside of our homes. And we're having to repurpose our spaces, like, because now our home is an office, it's a school, it's an exercise studio, it's a library, it's a movie theater, like, it's everything, right? And so I've really found that it's exciting to see people coming to rediscover and really start to value a slower pace, simplicity, more time with family, rediscovering like creativity and exploration. And I think, and tell me if you found it too, like, we're saving money. We're not going out to dinner every other night. We're not spending, filling up the car a tank a week commuting. We're not shopping as much. So I see more and more people coming to the realization that there's so much more to life than more. And I'll share a quote that Robert read, but I wanted to really, really have it sink in. I found this quote, I think it was maybe like around the end of March, beginning of April. And, just when the sort of pandemic was starting to flare. And this is from a group called Becoming Minimalist. I think when the dust settles, we'll realize how little we need, how very much we already actually have, and the true value of connection. I love that. So, not only what I've learned from my own experience on that path to more, but also from the work I do every day with clients to simplify and organize. I've learned to focus on like really one kind of core essential question. And that question is, what's enough? What in blazes is enough for you, your family, your space, your business, your time, your life? What's enough? Like, how many obligations? How many black Lululemon leggings? How many artificial expectations are enough? What I'd like to invite you to do is to just take a few minutes. I'll put on a little music. We'll just kind of, break for like maybe 2 minutes. I'd like to invite you to take a piece of paper and really start to think and write down what are some areas in your life where you can commit to make an intentional commitment to resist more. Whether it's do more, have more, be more, all three. Where are some areas in your life where you can just resist more? So what I'll do, I'll give you a little thinking music, a little mood music, and nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry. And I'll come back in just a minute, okay? All right, my friends, welcome back. So this list that you've made, just hold on to it, continue to develop it, maybe tweak it. It might change, it might grow. You might want to just add things to it or subtract, but really think about ways to simplify, to untangle, unclutter, uncomplicate your life. Now, I want to take an opportunity next to sort of look at some examples of where do more, be more, and have more, where they kind of show up in our lives. So, the whole concept of too busy, and that's the do more end of things. So one of my favorite quotes from Dolly Parton is, "Never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life." And you guys, that was me. That was me, so focused on grinding and doing and working and, not just working. The days turned into nights. There was no boundaries. I was so focused on that I kind of lost sight of making a life. And I think a lot of us can get sucked into that pretty easily. So just be aware of that and keep that quote close by. Never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. So what I'd like to do is now just have a little throw up of hands, because I'm going to talk a little bit about time. I'd like to see hands raised for, if this sounds like you have more time than you know what to do it. You have gobs and gobs of time. Just more time that you know what to do with. Throw your hands up if that sounds like you. Okay, now usually that's a really small percentage, like it is today, of people. Now next, throw your hands up if this sounds like you. You have barely enough time. In fact, you feel like you're just enough hours to get it all done. Your to-do list at the end is still wicked long at the end of the day. You're kind of getting stuff done, but there's just not enough hours in the day. Who feels like that? All right. Got it. We got two. Now, who feels like, holy crap, legit, there's not enough hours. I need another 24. I'm getting nothing down. I'm spinning. I'm drowning. I don't even have my head above water. I'm drowning. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted. Nothing's gotten done. How many feel like that? Yep. The hands are going. Yes. So here's the truth, my friends. We all have the exact same 24 hours. I don't get any more than you. You don't get any more than me. We all have the same 24 hours. Yes, we all have slightly different circumstances. And yes, we can all make slightly different excuses. But the trick is to decide and choose how to use your time better. We're the only ones who should make that choice. Now, if we don't decide how we use our time and get a little ruthless with it, don't worry, plenty of people around you who will choose how to use your time. Your boss, your husband, your family, your kids, your clients, your friends, they'll all decide how you use your time if you don't. So what's enough for us in terms of time? Do we have to spread ourselves so thin trying to do it all? Do we choose to waste precious time doing these unimportant things that don't matter? Or are we going to start deciding to choose to use our time more wisely? Because once we choose and decide what we believe in, what really does matter to us, our family, our business, then we can say yes to those things and no to everything else. Now, I have an entire workshop that I deliver called Boundaries, Mastering the Art of Saying No. And it really is an art to be able to figure out what's important, create those boundaries, and then communicate those boundaries. So check my website. You'll see some information on that. So another classic example is the concept of too much. And this is in the have more category, okay? So this is the home office of my client, Joe. Joe has a small technology services company, operates it out of his home. And like most of my clients, Joe has enough space. In fact, this is an awesome IKEA, one of the nicest IKEA home offices I've ever seen. It's got 3 sides. It's got storage underneath, storage on top. He has more than enough space. And like most of my clients, Joe has too much stuff. So he is just one of those people who just continues to acquire and accumulate. And because he's in the technology business, there's this natural, like, things become obsolete super fast. Like the phone charger for an iPhone 6 is not the same for the 10. So all that stuff becomes obsolete, but we tend to just hang on to it. And the thing is he had all these drawers and cabinets, but they were filled with obsolete, no longer relevant, outdated, yesteryear kind of stuff. So what happens with the more current, relevant, mission critical stuff, it piles. So what we had to do is really create destination space. So we had to clear out, shred, recycle, toss, donate, all sorts of things that were inside, hogging all the good real estate, get rid of the things that didn't matter, and then put the things that do matter into the storage solutions. Now, the other thing that was kind of a tough thing is that because the office looked like this, Joe's solution was to look for more space elsewhere. So he would take his laptop out to the kitchen island, and that didn't really fly with Mrs. Joe. So that's why I was called in to help him. So we set up the system. He now has a recurring appointment in his phone once a month where he goes through and does sort of a clean sweep, making sure that if he hasn't on a daily basis put things where they go, that he will at least on a monthly basis. And that keeps things from becoming like a big monster like it was. Now, the thing is, when Joe walks into this office now, I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, so much better. Like, he carries himself differently. Like, his shoulders aren't hunched up now. He's walking in there. He feels in control. He feels productive. He feels effective. So doing something like this, it goes beyond just the physical transformation. There's way more of like an emotional and a psychological transformation. Now, another fun thing that happens when we simplify and organize is sometimes we find things. So I'll show you the picture. See if you can find it. You see it? Right there, his wedding ring. Joe lost his wedding ring 6 years prior. Swear to God, had no idea it was in this random section of this random drawer. He lost it 6 years prior. And after a year of not having it, he ended up buying a new one. So now there's this cost of not only always looking for it, but the redundant buying. He now has 2 wedding rings. But anyhow, it was like so awesome that we found it. Mrs. Joe was really psyched. So we have some fun transformations like that. So what I want to do now is talk a little bit about the how, right? Because I think it's important to know not just, what we're talking about, but like how can you create some of these transformations if you want to? So let's go back and talk about the 5 keys to simplifying. So like so many things in life, the why is so much more important than the how. You've probably heard it like, what's your why, right? Like, it's more important to know, why do you want to live with less? Why do you want to simplify? That's going to fuel you through the process of the how. So let me share with you a couple of examples of whys. So one client of mine, Lisa, she and her husband have 3 little girls, and their playroom is like playroom / office. And Lisa's why, when she called me in, was she wanted more harmony in their family because she and her husband would constantly argue. There was friction over the state of the playroom in the office. It just was a mess. There weren't good systems. So her why was, I want more harmony and peace in my life. That's a wicked good one. For my client, Maureen, she used to love to entertain. That was her thing. But then over the years, a number of circumstances, and her house became just really cluttered. She wasn't proud enough to invite anybody over. So her why, what fueled her for wanting to simplify and declutter and organize, was because she wanted to entertain again. She wanted to feel proud, welcoming friends and family back into her home. So we'll always want to really focus on the why. We need to understand that at the very, very first step. And then number 2, like, less is not nothing. There's nobody saying you have to get rid of it all. Certainly not me. When I show up, I am not dragging a dumpster and telling you to get rid of your things. So you decide. It's your stuff, it's your space, it's your life, it's your time. You decide what you want in your life. You decide what things are adding value to you, your space, your life today. And when something doesn't add value any longer, you stop enjoying it, you're okay with letting it go. And then number 3, what I have found in my over 10 years of doing this is that slow and steady change is much more sustainable than fast and furious. So think of it as a marathon versus a sprint. When we embark on simplifying and organizing, think of it more of like a journey, a path, an adventure, a process, maybe your life's work. And it's the type of thing too that Once you do it, it's not like there's a big fat period at the end and you're like, okay, I spent October simplifying and now I never have to do it again. Sorry, it's a process, it's ongoing. And you'll often revisit, like myself, over the 10 years since I've simplified, I kind of sometimes go back to areas and I'm like, now my criteria is a little more ruthless. And I don't want 4 sets of sheets. No, I want 2. So I continue to revisit and create new criteria and continue to simplify and organize. Small progress is still progress. I encourage you to celebrate every little baby step in the process. So you string together enough small little wins and small baby steps. Now you're talking some game-changing transformations. So my client Judy, she would reward herself with a cup of coffee after a 30-minute organizing thing in the morning. Whatever she tackled, she would do it for 30 minutes. She set a timer, and then she had like a cup of coffee at the end. Another thing to look at, like, let's say your closet is driving you bananas. You just are so overwhelmed with it. Instead of hijacking an entire Saturday and locking yourself in your closet and going through it, maybe you just start with one little step, just the shoes. You go in there, you're like, I'm just looking at shoes, and you're like, toss, keep, donate, donate. And now your shoes are done. So now you've gotten a success. You got a little momentum. So maybe that's Saturday morning, and maybe Sunday afternoon, everybody's out golfing, and you go in and you're like, I'm only looking at dresses, just dresses. And you totally organize your dresses. Next time it's pants, whatever. But taking those little small bites, you don't choke. And you string together successes and fuel and momentum, and it just works a lot better. The 5th one is my favorite, and I promise you this is honest to God truth. Holding on is harder than letting go. Now, letting go might feel hard, but I promise you holding on is harder. You have to hold on every single day. And you hold on by paying for it with your money, your time, your attention, your energy, your space, your emotion. You have to keep shifting it and moving it and stepping over it and arranging it and rearranging it and buying extra shelves and bins to accommodate it. You let go once, and it is so freeing. So that's kind of the how. Now let me share with you my favorite part. How much time do we have? Oh my gosh. All right, because this is my favorite. This is like, what do you get? What's the ROI? What's the benefit when you simplify? So we'll start with clarity. You begin to see who and what is really important. You begin to see who and what aligns with who you are. You discover what you want, you realize what you need, and you are better able to let go of what you don't want or need. Now, this could be physical stuff, right? You know, getting rid of stuff, the shoes, the dresses, right? But it could also be not physical stuff. It could be deciding to let go of being the president of the networking group. Or it could be choosing to let go of that super expensive gym membership that you never go to, but you just kind of felt you should belong to. So when you get clear on what matters, what's really important, what's enough, life opens up for you. Now, space. In a physical sense, your home, your bedroom, your studio, it can become a haven from the busyness of life, a place where you can really unplug, relax, recharge, restore, surrounded by just enough of things that are beautiful and useful. From a time perspective, let's talk about space. When you build in white space into your schedule, free space, You allow yourself time for creativity and problem solving, introspective work, rest. And what you end up finding is amazing. I'll share a story. It just happened to me and it so drives this home. So last week of July, I went on vacation to the Cape, and I go every year. But this year, I mean, I set it up. I took care of everything I needed to take care of before. I put in my out of office email response. I got off the grid. I mean, I went and I relaxed. There was zero work that I did that week on the Cape. When I got back on Sunday, I looked at email and I had received eight new client inquiries. I'd never had a week like that. And it just made me realize that when you create space, when you just stop like worrying and freaking out and trying to over engineer everything, when you just create space for it, good things do come into your life. I think I need another vacation. Health, almost universally, it's been shown that people who live more simple lives do become physically healthier. You start to become more mindful of what you eat, how much you eat, how you move your body, how much stress you let into your life, and how you care for yourself. So there really is a bump to health when you start living more simply. And presence. You stop kind of floating through the days, kind of caught somewhere in between the past and the future. And you stop getting kind of distracted by the chaos of the world and the overwhelm of your space and even the weight of the physical and mental and emotional clutter. You get to be more present in your relationships, more present in the work that you do. And, you know, maybe when we create boundaries of when the workday is done, like you start saying like, all right, 5:30, bam, end of day for me. I'm not going to do any more email. Maybe you decide, family, no devices at the dinner table. We're going to be present. We're going to talk and communicate and interact. And when you instead allow yourself to be fully present in the moment, like it's a game changer. In relationships, when you are no longer weighed down by the past, the future, the shoulds, the worries, the guilt, the too busy, like you have the time and energy and a space to devote to relationships. This was a huge benefit to me. I think I mentioned it back when I, left my job and I started doing Simplify with Eileen and untangling and all that kind of stuff. Like I really reconnected with friends I had drifted away from because I had been so caught up being so busy. And it was awesome. Joy. There is so much more joy you will find when leading a simpler life. You'll have the time and energy to feel joy. And I want to share with you a client of mine, Olivia, and her story and just how much more joy has come into her life. So Olivia used to live in a big 4-bedroom house, and then she moved to a 2-bedroom condo. This is before she met me, and she didn't make as many decisions about letting go at that time. So she ended up with like a lot of stuff in her 2-bedroom condo. And honestly, it was like it was a full-time job for her because she held on to everything from the past, sentimental. She was stockpiling stuff for the future, like what if someday I might need it. She was the kind of person, if she loved one thing, she would buy 5 of them in different colors and whatever. Olivia also is a person who loves buying things on sale and getting a good price for it, whether she needs it or not. So again, this became like a full-time job managing all this stuff. After several months of us working together and her really decluttering and letting go and figuring out what made sense for her to keep, the world opened up. She now has space and time and energy to go back to doing yoga. She had gotten away from it for years. and she's loving getting back to yoga. She is now volunteering at her church. She has joined 2 book clubs, and she has the physical and emotional space now that she adopted 2 little black foster cats. And her life is so much more full of joy than it was before. Now, appreciation. You'll find a new found appreciation of the things, the time, the experiences that you have, because they're no longer like buried under the clutter and chaos of the unimportant things. And what you do decide to keep are the things that you love and the things that you use, so you really appreciate them. So kind of to wrap up, I'd love for you to walk away really knowing and really believing that you do enough, you have enough, and you are enough. And really resist that relentless lure of more. And consider a life of more simplicity and ease. So what I'd also like to do is invite you, let's see here, to connect with me. All right, let's get connected. All these different ways you can connect with me, and it's a great way to keep updated on events and happenings and little challenges that are going on with Simplify with Eileen. I love sharing like before and after transformations. I think a lot of people get a kick out of that. I share tips, advice, strategies, things you can use to help on your simplifying journey. So feel free to connect. I'd love to connect back with you. And at this point, I think we are about 10 minutes before the hour, so maybe some questions. Robert, are there some questions that you can share with me, or you want people to ask themselves?
Sure. I have some questions that were sent to me directly, so we can start there.
Yeah.
And, I would encourage folks to get some questions into the chat. That would be great. First question is from Monique. Does Eileen have a list she can share of places to get rid of stuff?
Okay, so with this whole COVID thing, Monique, thank you, and thank you, Robert. It was a little touchy there for a while, and it's still not 100%. But first of all, Epilepsy Foundation, all throughout COVID, has been coming and picking things up. You'll want to go on their website and see what they accept and what they don't, but they still are coming to pick things up. Habitat for Humanity, still coming to pick things up. Like epilepsy, you're going to move it all to the curb or the driveway or the porch. But those places are still coming for free to pick up. Other than that, the Goodwill trucks are open. There's like one in Reading by Home Goods. You know, the manned trucks go drop off stuff. Savers stores finally are reopened. They are awesome. They benefit epilepsy, and they are probably the most generous in what they'll accept. So you can drop up things at Savers. Also, you know, try those, you know, free like things on Facebook, like, you know, front porch drop off, or just put it out there. I've got some stuff at the end of my curb for anybody who wants it. The donation boxes in a lot of towns, like in my town, you can donate books in one bin, you can donate clothes in another, shoes in another. So there are quite a few places around. You know, you can always just, if that's not enough, Monique, you can shoot me an email and I'll see if there's anything else I can share.
And in the chat, KW recommends Staples and Best Buy for anyone who's donating or recycling electronics. And there's information about those programs on their website.
Yeah, the beautiful thing is they recycle the parts. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
Rosalind would like to know, what do most people have too much of?
Man, I'll tell you, it varies. It really varies. Everybody's got their thing. Some people, it's books. I have book people. Some people, it's shoes. Some people, it's paper, you know, products, you know. Honestly, I don't know if I can say one certain thing. I think just everybody's got their own thing, and like zero judgment. Like it's not like, oh, you're only supposed to have 10 books. Like I never come into it like that. If books are somebody's passion, perfect. Let's just figure out a way of which ones really, really matter and what's the best way to have them available to you so that they don't become a burden. But it's everything I've seen. Honestly, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. Paper. Some people paper bags. Oh my goodness. Just you think that there was never going to be another paper bag available in the world, but yeah.
So KW has a question and then sort of a long example. Could Eileen talk about the task of minimizing is not the mindset, let me see here, I might be missing punctuation or I'm just misunderstanding. So could Eileen talk about the task of minimizing is not the mindset trashing, for example, landfilling everything. Minimalism also focuses on sustainability. We need to be cognizant of what is happening to the items we are letting go. For example, our thrift stores have more clothes than they can do with, but landfilling them isn't exactly right. So think about buying less clothes, and when you do buy better clothes that will last longer, or perhaps share closets with family and friends.
There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yes.
Yes, I am a huge proponent. Well, I'm very anti-trash landfill. Everything we do, we try to recycle, repurpose, reuse, share, donate. Exactly. And that's like sometimes there's just like, we find like all this like extra metal. Well, there are metal guys. If you just put it at the end of your driveway, like the metal scrap guys, they skulk around and they'll pick it up. So yeah. But yes, so that's sort of to like get you out from under. But then on a go forward basis, I agree with KW as far as, yes, let's buy better things, not the what's that store, H&M or something, where it's like disposable clothing that's going to fall apart the first time you wash it. Just buy a few things. When it comes to clothing, buy good, buy utility pieces, things that sort of transcend seasons, or they could be worn alone or under like a jacket and still look good, like those kind of convertible pieces. Courtney Carver, she's really great. Courtney Carver's, her thing is she has a book called Soulful Simplicity, and she also has this thing called Project 333, where she inspires people to live with 33 clothing, shoe, accessory items for every 3 months, like the seasons. It's pretty cool. I mean, and there's also been more of a movement towards like kind of work uniforms. Like there was this one, I forget the art. I read the article, and like this woman literally wore this. She bought like 3 of the same tops, the same pants, and it was like her work uniform. Super cute little blouse, and like she wore the same thing every day. And so lots of creative ways. But yes, we can live fully, beautifully, abundantly with less, with just enough.
Great. Gail, just wanted to compliment you, and it was good to hear so much reinforcements.
Thanks,
Monique
Gail.
had a question that's probably more directed to me. She wants to know where we can access the recordings of the Zoom presentations. And so briefly, we upload them to we give them to the Tewksbury Telemedia Department, who uploads them to the town's YouTube channel. And so if you go to youtube.com and search for Town of Tewksbury, you'll find the Tewksbury channel. And within that channel, there's a playlist you can click on to get all of the library's programming. And actually, Monique, next week, I'm going to wait till the end of the month, but I'm going to send out via Constant Contact a special email newsletter that has links to all the Zoom videos that we've done for adults and children for June, July, and August. So that'll be coming into people's email inboxes sometime next week. So please subscribe to the library's email newsletter if you haven't done that already.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Monique. All right, Rosalind says, thanks for the thoughtful tips on becoming more mindful of what is really needed. You had a great philosophy for sharing.
Thank you, Rosalind. Thanks.
I don't see any more comments or questions in the chat. As we approach, I know we started a few minutes late, but as we approach 8 o'clock, Eileen, did you have any final words you wanted to share with the group?
I will give you a challenge. How's that? A challenge. I would, you know, in addition to that list that you've created of ways, areas in your life that you can resist the relentless lure of more, here's a way to start. A purchasing pause. This is 30 days of just a purchasing pause of not necessities, not food, okay, but just all those impulse items and like maybe clothing or, oh, that's a cute handbag, or, oh, that's a great price, or, ooh, I might need that someday. Just a purchasing pause. What you will discover will blow your mind. You'll discover that you start using the things you have more. You'll discover things like in your closet or in your cabinets or in your cupboards that you didn't even realize you had. You'll save money, you'll save time, and it'll just bring you a little bit closer to that what's enough concept. So try a purchasing pause. Maybe do it with a friend or like your sister-in-law or something. You know, let's say, okay, September 1, we're going to do it, and we'll talk each other through if we're like wavering about trying to purchase something. Don't do it, Nancy, you know, no. So I'd love to also hear, like, if after you do this, shoot me an email or something. I'd love to hear your experiences. But it's a great, you can do anything for 30 days, you guys, okay? Give it a try. Purchasing pause.
All right, so we'll wrap it up there, Eileen. Thanks for the challenge.
Yeah.
Thanks for the presentation. Great job. I want to thank everyone for joining us here tonight. A reminder to check your email tomorrow morning. Please take 60 seconds, fill out that feedback survey. It would be greatly appreciated. I'll also include the link to the recording for tonight. If you know anyone in your life that you think might benefit from listening to this presentation, feel free to share the link to the video with them. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you again so much for coming, and I'm going to end the call in about 15 seconds. So
thanks, everybody. Really appreciate your sharing your time with me tonight.
Yes, great job as usual, Eileen.